Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly mod collection demo shop update. Visiting the shop today, we would only see this, but here's what you missed. An ES339 in Royal Metallic. If you're not familiar, 339s, they're smaller body 335s. Similar to the size of a Les Paul, but not exactly. So perfect for a smaller person who loves the 335 but just can't take how big they are. But this time it appears we have black chrome hardware, black knobs, with a nice dark blue metallic finish. And what makes this one extra special is when you move up here to the headstock, you get a matching one of those. So that makes that one tasteful and different. And flipping over to the back, we can see it is a complete refinish. Gibson played off their custom stripe series with a new one from a lefty Les Paul standard. The official color is burnt orange metallic, so maybe it'll look a little bit different in person than the bright red that it's coming off as, but you definitely have that orange racing stripe here. Nothing too special on the back. This one's actually showed up on Reverb since, so we got some nice outside photos of it as well. I would say the stock photography did this one justice, but it is nice to see some of the metal flake within the finish. It was originally offered at $25. Next up is one of my favorites from this week. It's a Les Paul Jr. from the USA collection in natural satin. Something about this one with the BFG wooden knobs, the cream pickup cover. Looks like they slightly aged the hardware. The whole natural vibe of this thing with all the cool wood grain. At first I thought it had like a little mini spotlight section or just had a line running up and down like sometimes acoustics have on the back. But no, that light streak in the wood is just part of the wood itself. And then interestingly enough, a red Gibson logo. I'm not quite sure why, but hey, it's cool. Check out your wooden truss rod cover as well. And the back was just left natural. This thing I almost didn't even talk about because it just looks like a black Les Paul custom, right? No, read this. Sparkling Burgundy Burst. And they wanted a decent premium at $5,100, so let's check this thing out. This photo, you really can't tell much of anything. The headstock looks normal as well. However, thankfully, they do have these up-close photos for us. So it appears what they did here is they did a sparkling burgundy outline of a perimeter burst. This photo probably does the best job of showing it, and then it kind of just transforms into like a black sparkle or something like that. So I think this one would look pretty similar to the Cherry Cola that we saw get offered a couple of weeks back. So once you know that's on the front, if you actually look at the back, unfortunately we don't have any close-ups, but if you zoom in here, you can kind of see that same red outline right here. And now that I look closely on the neck, you might even have it there. I'm not sure. That's one you'd probably have to appreciate more so in person. But interesting choice of pickups. Ceramic 496R and then a 498T in the bridge. If I remember correctly, I think the Rhino has a similar set. But perhaps the strangest one this week is this thing. I mean, just looking at it, it's like, okay, it's another one of those Les Paul standards. We have these every week, but they called it Ambered Unburst Mullet. Okay. So first glance, yeah, it's just standard. They swapped our neck pickup around. I don't think they flipped the magnets for the true Peter Green out of phase tones. It's just for the looks. It's looking like the clear coat has been yellowed over, but then wait till you see the back. Trust me, I am showing you the right guitar. I don't have these mixed up. They called it the Ambered Unburst Mullet because it's business in the front and party in the back. Maybe a bit too extreme of a party, I'm not sure. Cream stinger, extra long, kind of an ice blue that transitions into like an aged pelham blue. It's interesting, especially the side profile shot of this. Those colors just, they don't traditionally go together, but I appreciate it for it being interesting. Next up, SG Standard and Cherry. They've got an interesting floor panel pickguard on this. That looks like a piece of vinyl planking that you would put on your floor or something. The whole completely covered over pickups gives it an interesting rustic vibe as well. But the pickguard's about all that one had going for it. This SG Modern had something interesting on it. So if you zoom in here, I thought, oh my goodness, have they put another pedal in a guitar like they did last week? So I was getting all excited for that, especially when we look back here. You've got these things, but we've actually seen those before in a couple of semi-hollow guitars that we've reviewed and demoed. This is just a regular Veritone switch. That was such a bummer. I thought it was going to be something way cooler than that. But hey, having a Veritone on an SG, you don't find that too often. So it looks like they had to do a lot of routing in the back of the guitar to make that fit. And then they did a clear cover so you could see it. Oh, wait. That's not just a Veritone. They did it stereo output jacks. So yeah, that makes that a little bit cooler. You've got so many options with that thing now. It's interesting if you were in the market for one of those. They are great playing SGs. The next one kind of has a confusing name. Les Paul Modern with Silverburst Faded Pelham Blue. So that makes me think there might be something a little bit more to this one. Maybe it started as the Pelham Blue one, but then they sprayed it over in a silver. And that's how they got this unique kind of frost blue-esque color. Now obviously we have different pickup covers on these, all metalled out knobs, and the back was left the same. and offered at $3,100. This was an okay price for somebody wanting one of these. So it appears to be a regular Gibson custom that they've modified with a third humbucker and went ahead and put a Bigsby on it. To get one of these stock from Gibson, you have to buy a 57 reissue, and those are like really, really expensive. So this one got all chromed out and offered up at a discount. Only $3,900. There was a Les Paul special in baby blue. It was offered at $1,900. It's a very striking finish. I think it looks pretty good on a special. Perhaps the biggest thing that makes it look strange is we don't have a pick guard. I think the black pairs so well with this finish that they could have got away with putting one back on. But that is a full gloss refinish, and they also did the back. Next up, we have a cool VOS finish on a Les Paul Jr. This thing's looking nice. So they actually do the black Les Paul Juniors now, just in case you don't know. But this one, they aged the parts. It looks like BFG knobs. Tortoiseshell pickguard looks nice on this color. And everything else is about the same at $1,500. This SG Tribute was done up in dirty Pelham. $1,300 might seem cheap, but you gotta remember, this is one of the Tributes. It's one of the lower end SGs. But since it has one of these cool finishes on it and it's got the pickup covers and everything now, I mean, they've just completely transformed the look at this thing. I love it. I mean, they call it dirty Pelham because it hasn't aged evenly everywhere. So you got a little bit of aging right here, a little bit there. I'm sure this will probably look better in person than it does in photos. But then to step things up with an SG standard, they have what they call Natural Perimeter Burst. It's got a cool pumpkin-like vibe to it. They even did the back and sides. Kind of reminds me of the Natural Burst SG standards of the 2000s era. Those things are beautiful. However, looking at this one, it's a late 2021, and you're going to notice it has block inlays, so that would have started life as one of the CME exclusive SGs. So is it possible that this might have been like a prototype finish? Judging by the fact that it's a satin lacquer, probably not. They probably refinished that from something else. Or CME was looking to do a satin finished version. But now look at this thing, a 50s Les Paul Standard in natural satin for $2,700. I'm surprised this is the only thing that hasn't sold this week because it has a very interesting vibe. So it's a maple top with decent figuring without any colored finish over top of it, and you got some black hardware. The back isn't anything necessarily too exciting either. However, this thing reminds me of a rare guitar. It's a little known Zakk Wylde signature called the Rough Top Les Paul. So these things normally look like this. It's pretty much the precursor to the BFG, the closest thing to a custom shop Les Paul studio that we've probably seen, in the fact that the top is rough. It has these ridges on it. There's no binding on the fretboard nor on the body. It's got his signature EMG pickups in it, ABR1 bridge, historic construction. Interestingly enough, has his signature on the headstock instead of Les Paul. They put Les Paul on the truss rod cover for these. And then of course you get Zakk's signature 3-piece maple neck. They did not make very many of those, but I thought this thing gave off very similar vibes. That's it for the mod collection this week. Let's check out the demo shop European style. We had about 8 new guitars this week. Here's your new ones. I'm just gonna cover the highlights. Starting with this thing, we have the return of Widows to the mod collection in demo shop. So this is one of those blue Widows from 2017. Maybe not the most desirable year as far as the Widowed series go because you have the Richlight fretboard, but hey, Richlight's cool in its own right. But what surprised me about this one is the fact that the condition is pretty alright for a European demo shop one. Those things are usually a bit more beat up. Like we've got some finish checking stemming right here just because of the headstock veneer. That line started to show. Maybe it's shipping trauma. It's kind of hard to tell. This side definitely looks a little bit worse, and it appears that they had to replace the nut, otherwise that would have been covered over. But then we get to their non-stock photography shots, and man, that thing just comes to life. I love it. I do believe I've actually documented one of these blue Widows if you want to check it out. It looks like it's got a couple of dings on the side, but that's a great location to show you that no, it's not blue binding, it's just blue paint over the white binding and the mahogany. But how much do they want on this? I thought that was pretty fair. $4,500, including value-added tax, which is quite significant, and free shipping for the European market. That's not a bad price, if you can live with those cosmetic defects. And then this thing was just an absolute steal. It doesn't surprise me it sold. So Les Paul CM Black. I've reviewed one of them. You can check them out. I think I actually got mine from the demo shop too. But $1,100, especially for the EU market. Just absolutely insane. That's like a $2,000 bare minimum guitar because they didn't make too many of them and people like these things. Then we have something on the other spectrum. We've got one of the ES Les Paul specials. I remember when the US demo shop had one of these and they posted it around that price. They just don't sell for that much. Like the standards will, but I think this will sit in their shop for a good long time until there's a discount. That's not saying these ES Les Paul specials are bad. It's just generally absolute top value on these is about $2,000. Now, if you get the figure top version, okay, you can get a little bit more. I've documented one of those. But what I like about these is they're baked maple fretboards. I'm a big fan of baked maple. It's so soft and velvety feeling. I highly suggest trying one out, and I hope Gibson brings those things back again one day. Now, swapping back over stateside, we had a good haul this week. But as far as what's currently available, nothing too much. Just players' grade stuff. I thought for $1,700, this Trad Pro 5, which is a Guitar Center exclusive guitar, I think they were like $28.99 brand new. I know they've since had sales, but there was a period in time when Gibson revamped the original collection and these standards were $2,500, that these were now $300 more expensive. So that kind of stuck Guitar Center with some of these. But what's nice is this has the high performance electronics that were shortly lived. I believe that's the version with the dip switches. You can check out this video if you need to learn more about that. But that's a good one for a player. And the rest were just more so interesting tops. Like this has a bit of a flame, but I'm curious, is there a particular word for what this is? It looks like a teardrop streak stemming down from the pickguard right here. It's an interesting wood grain pattern that is not mirrored. That one's being offered at a slight discount. This one being a 59 reissue has a very nice flame top, very uniform and even. Not perfectly book matched, but I don't know, maybe it looks better in person. That's offered at a little under $6,000. Kind of a similar story on this one. This is an R858 reissue, which generally isn't known for having a super flame top, even though there's many of runs that have that as well. This one just kind of had a mix between flame and plain. Here's a 60 standard Unburst that I thought had some nice attractive wood grain qualities to it. And lastly, an R9 Antiquity Burst. That one looks like it would look way better in person. Then as far as what sold, the mod collection actually threw the demo shop guys a bone. We had a custom exclusive finish again on one of the SG Standard 61 Vibrolas in what they called metallic Cran-Grape. I've got to say, this thing looks great for a Gibson USA, and they didn't charge too much of a premium for it either. I mean, pretty much any SG that has one of these Vibrola units on it, it's going to look cool. So the fact that you can get one with a custom color at the same time, that was nice. Congratulations, whoever got that. And then the last one for me to share with you guys is a standard 60s. This one was worth noting because they kind of gave it Les Paul custom like pickguard right here. But it's got this great flame pattern almost everywhere and then this giant big dead spot with some mineral streaks in the center. Now again, I'm sure in person it probably plays the whole peekaboo effect, but I thought that gave that top some character. Alright, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap. Hopefully next week they'll have some more crazy things for us. Not every week can be a winner. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.